Shema here. Hallelujah. Yah, lift your name on high. Yah, love to sing your praises. Okay. Today I want to, I guess, speak on accord. I guess Echad, oneness, speaking in one voice. So I kind of been dealing with this matter on far as with finances and stuff like that, how so many claim to be on the same page in marriage, but yet their finances. But let's move off of that. We doing, going, I guess, through seasons that many call the holiday season. And so you got the one group that are doing the holidays, and then you have the one group that are speaking against it. I guess I would be on the group that speaking against it. So I did them before. All of the different holidays, secular holidays, I participated in before, and so it's not that I want to beat up the people, but I just want to acknowledge that when we put our spirit, our voices, our actions towards one thing, we empower something. We empower something. So let's kind of just talk on what the definition, or something that's said about one accord. It says the phrase one accord can also be rendered as with one mind, with one voice, one mind. It can mean in agreement, total agreement, in unity, and all together. The phrase may come from the practice of yoking oxen together for plowing. So when you put, I'm not a farmer, so but I've seen where you put two oxen together, they have to go in the same direction for any progress to happen. Sometimes one carries the other or whatever, but for them to be equally yoked, one takes as much of the burden as the other. You don't have one dragging the other. Basically they work together. They have a common goal. And their strength together, one of them probably could get it like 50 feet, but both of them together could probably get it 200 feet. That working together actually multiplies or exponentially grows the output. The same could be said spiritually. Physically, naturally, when we put ourselves together, with someone else, we can get further, but we don't look at the spiritual connotations of that. Though we have so many examples all through the text, which we call the Bible. So, me myself, I'm one that likes to talk on these things. So let's do that. Let's talk on it. So let me be about my business real quick and do some sharing of what we doing to my pages. I'm gonna do that, and then we're gonna get going. We're gonna get going. All right. Let's start off with prayer, of course, though. Abba Yah, we thank you for the Shabbat. We thank you for allowing your presence on this earth. That we are dealing with so many different things, and I have friends that are dealing with deaths in the family, dealing with heartache and pain. And I'm not dealing with those same things, but I empathize for them. May you bring through them and through their families some resolve so that they get through these matters and be able to move forward so that your will may be the end goal, your will being done here on earth as it is in the Shamayim or in heaven. I thank you for the Shabbat. I thank you for allowing me to speak and be heard. Hallelujah. Okay, I'm Shanquilla or Shanquilla Carter. This is One Vision Ministry going forth. And so let's go. We're going to start off in Bereshit 11, and do some reading. We're going to do a little reading. So share my screen and we're going to get there. Share. I've been told that this is a little bit small, so let me see if I can magnify this a little bit, zoom it a little bit more to make it a little bit bigger. And of course, I don't need the highlighter. I'm gonna take that off. So Bereshit 11, 1 through 9 is where I'm gonna go. And it says, all the earth had one language and one speech. So the comprehension was all one. And it came to be as they set out from the east, that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said to each other, come, let us make bricks and bake them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, and they had asphalt for mortar. And they said, come, let us build ourselves a city and a tower whose top is in the heavens, and make a name for ourselves, lest we be scattered over all the face of the earth. Then Yahuwah came down to see the city and the tower which the sons of men had built. And Yahuwah said, look, they are one people, and they have one language. And this is what they begin to do. See, they had one voice, one agreement. They were on accord with one another. They were the Echad. They were not one and the same. Some people tend to think that Echad means one and the same, but no, they had one mind. And now they are not going to be withheld from doing whatever they plan to do. That goal they had, it was all of them having the same mindset. And they were going to keep moving towards that to accomplish that. Come, let us go there and confuse their language so that they do not understand one another's speech. So they no longer have this one voice, unity of voice. See, one thing that one of the texts in the book says that the power of death and life is in the tongue. So that one voice, that one speech in agreement has power to bring forth life or death. Okay, and Yahuwah scattered them from there over the face of all the earth, and they left off building the city. That is why it is called Babel. If you look up the word Babel, it's like, a baby Babel. It's like, blah, 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 it's basically language, but it's so cluttered up or not able to be comprehended or understood. Almost like a baby, babble, baby. Is baby talk, because it says that is why the name was called Babel, because there Yahuwah confused the language of all the earth, and from there Yahuwah scattered them over the face of all the earth. Notice, when disobedience happened, you see Yah scattering people. That's a common thing. Now, seeing that, it's always a need for most to have a secondary witness. Most don't accept Yasher, but I want to read this account in Yasher and see if it gives more detail. I myself, I have no problem with Yasher when it agrees with the text of the 66. I see this agreeing and just giving more detail. So I'm going to read it. Hopefully that's not an offense to any, but hey, keep it moving. Let's go. Let's go over here. This is Book of Yasher 9. Book of Yasher 9. And starting off with what is called verse 23. And it says, and all the families assembled, consisting of about 600,000 men. It's not counting the women and children. And they went to seek an extensive piece of ground to build the city and the tower, and they sought in the whole earth, and they found none like one valley at the east of the land of Shinar, about 2 days' walk, and they journeyed there, and they dwelt there. And they began to make bricks and burn fires to build the city and the tower that they had imagined to complete. They imagined it, they thought it up. They spiritually had that thought in their mind, and they bringing that manifestation to physical, to natural being. And the building of the tower was unto them a transgression and a sin. And they began to build it, and whilst they were building against Yahuwah of heaven, of Shamaim, they imagined in their hearts to war against him and to ascend into heaven. So they wanted to put themselves above Yah. They wanted to fight with Yah. And all these people and all the families divided themselves in three parts. The first said, we will ascend into heaven and fight against him. The second said, we will ascend into heaven and place our own deities, mighty ones, there and serve them. And the third part said, we will ascend to heaven and smite him with bows and spears. And Yah knew all their works and all their evil thoughts, and he saw the city and the tower which they were building. And when they were building, they built themselves a great city and a very high and strong tower. And only on account of its height, the mortar and bricks did not reach the builders in their ascent to it, until those who went up had completed a full year. And after that, they reached the builders and gave them the mortar and the bricks. Thus was it done daily. So if it took them a whole year, they had to tell you they had got pretty high with this thing. And behold, these ascended and others descended the whole day. And if a brick should fall from their hand and get broken, they would all weep over it. And if a man fell and died, none of them would look at him. So they were more concerned about the bricks and the building of this thing than human beings, than people. It said, and Yahuwah knew their thoughts. And it came to pass, when they were building, they cast the arrows towards the heavens, and all the arrows fell upon them, filled with blood. And when they saw them, they said to each other, surely we have slain all those that are in heaven. Man, look at their vile imaginations. For this was from Yahuwah in order to cause them to err, and in order to destroy them from off the face of the ground. And they built the tower in the city, and they did this thing daily, until many days and years were elapsed. And Yahuwah said to the 70 angels who stood foremost before him, to those who were near to him, saying, come, let us descend and confuse their tongues, and one man shall not understand the language of his neighbor. And they did so unto them. Basically, no longer be in accord, no longer have one voice, no longer be Echad. And from that day following, they forgot each man his neighbor's tongue, and they could not understand to speak in one tongue. And when the builder took from the hands of his neighbor lime or stone, which he did not order, the builder would cast it away and throw it upon his neighbor, that he would die. And they did so many days, and they killed many of them in this manner. And Yahuwah smote the three divisions that were there, and he punished them according to their works and designs. Those who said, we will ascend to heaven and serve our elves, or our mighty ones, or our deities, became like apes and elephants. And those who said, we will smite the heaven with arrows, Yahuwah killed them, and one man through the hand of his neighbor. He killed them, one man through the hand of his neighbor. And the third division of those who said, we will ascend to heaven and fight against him, Yahuwah scattered them throughout the earth. And those who were left amongst them, when they knew and understood the evil which was coming upon them, they forsook the building, and they also became scattered upon the face of the whole earth. And they ceased building the city and the tower. Therefore he called that place Babel, for there Yahuwah confounded the language in the whole earth. Behold, it was at the east of the land of Shinar. That's enough of that. So, man, you see, I don't know, my focus comes more so not on the Tower of Babel, but the story, seeing that the accord and the mindset being one brings forth power. You know, they are able to actually almost complete their task. So much so that Yah had to come against it himself directly. One voice. This week is what they call Thanksgiving, or I call it Thanksgiving or whatever. A lot of folks say, well, they don't participate in it, but yet they participated. They may not do it for the same reason, but yet they put their spirit to it. They cook the same ritual foods during this time, no other time. They gather with their family who are seeking to participate in Thanksgiving. They do it over a Lions game or a Cowboys game. You know, we're just fellowship, but they're having one voice. Notice it was three divisions, but they had one purpose, which was to get to the Shamayim, to heaven, and go against Yah. They had different thoughts on it, three different thoughts. So, you know, hey, you gathering to watch the game, or you gathering to eat, you gathering to fellowship. One voice, one initiative. You're keeping Thanksgiving. Many are going to do the same thing for not Thanksgiving, but for Christmas. Do it for Easter, all these different things, these pagan days. You are adding your one voice. And you're doing something that's contrary to Yah, so it's going against Yah, and you don't see it as a problem. I've seen some teachers actually now basically saying, you know, it's just a turkey. It's just this. And they making light of it, not realizing one voice. You know, a lot of times I've been caught out here saying stuff that people get offended by. When I was a Christian, we used to do a annual fast at New Year's. I notice a lot of Hebrews do a fast around that same time. One voice. Yeah, you say, oh, well, we're doing it for a different reason. But a lot of the people that are doing it, we're used to doing it during that time every year as Christians. So who is the judge that the hearts have changed, that the motives have changed? You know, basically, they're on autopilot. They're doing what they're comfortable with doing. And so, you know, these fasts that they do are they even a struggle for them? Because they're so used to, their bodies are regulated to it, and still your one voice is lining up with the other voices. You say you're speaking a different mission or a different goal, but you're doing the same thing, same energy coming up out of you. Oh, I'm building spiritual strength towards what? All right, I'm gonna keep going. I want to show some other stuff. I'm gonna keep going. You know, let's keep going. So I've dealt with the Torah aspect of it, you know, giving you the story, but I'm gonna go into the Brit Hadashah. So let's do that. Let me share my screen. Uh-huh. Share my screen. And again, Let me see if I'm gonna turn up my percentage. Oh, I turned it up. And so I'm going 15 to 17. I'm gonna turn off that. So this is First Corinthians 6 or Corinthian Aleph. And I'm starting with verse 15 and 16. It says, "Do you not know that your bodies are members of Messiah?" If you're a member of Messiah, you are Messiah. That offends some people to hear that. The word Messiah actually means anointed. I know that we call Yahusha Messiah, but all the sons, all of the Exodus 4:22 are Messiah. They're all anointed. They are all pre-assigned or known. Those that are remnant, yes. Okay, but then again, do you not know that your bodies are members of Messiah? Shall I take the members of Messiah and make them members of a whore? Should you connect with a whore or connect with something that's abominable to Yah? Let it not be. If it's something that Yah is not sanctioning, something that is going against his will, and you are purposely going and connecting with it, you're joining to a whore intentionally. Or do you not know that he who is joined to a whore is one body, one flesh? For he says, the two shall become one flesh, one flesh. When you joining together Echad in one voice towards the things of Yah, that's holy. That's Kodesh. But if you're joining towards things that are not of Yah, you're becoming a whore or connecting with a whore. All right, let me move forward. Let me move forward. All right, 4 through 7 over here. So let me move back up, take away that. So I'm over here at Romans 15, going 4 through 7, I think I said that was. It says, "For whatever was written before was written for our instruction, that through endurance and encouragement of the scriptures, we might have the expectation." So the Torah and the Tanakh would be what is called scriptures. Those things were written for our instruction. Those things were in place before the Brit Hadashah was even put to paper, pen to paper. So that's what this is speaking of. And the Elohim of endurance and encouragement give you to be the same mind, on accord, Echad, one, toward one another, according to Messiah Yahusha. We are, again, like last verse, Messiah or anointed. We are supposed to be connected, or the body of, he's the Messiah is supposed to be our head, and we are the body, so we are one. No, we are not one and the same, but we're connected. We have one agenda. We have the same mind toward one another. That with one mind and with one mouth, you might praise the Elohim and Father of our Master, Yahusha Messiah. Again, Exodus 4:22 says that Israel is the firstborn son of Yahuwah. So the remnant also has the same father as Messiah, as the Messiah does, or as Yahusha does. He is our brother. So accept one another as Messiah also did accept us. The head accepted the body to the esteem of Elohim, to the esteem of Elohim. All we do is for the will and purposes of Yah. The first Adam was supposed to have dominion over the earth and do the will of Yah on earth as it is in the Shamayim. He failed. Thus, there was a need for a second Adam, which we call Yahusha. Yahusha or Yahusha. All right. 1 through 4. Philippians 2, 1 through 4. If then there is any encouragement in Messiah, if any comfort of love, if any fellowship of Ruach or Spirit, if any affection and compassion, make my joy complete by being of the same mind, being in accord. So if Yah is saying these holidays don't please him, these things that we have learned from other nations and other cultures don't please him, why would you want to be in like mind with these people and their actions? We are supposed to be in like mind and same thought as Yah. So make my joy complete by being of the same mind, having the same love, one in being and of purpose. We should have a purpose that lines up with Yah's will. Dealing with these holidays is not of his purpose. These things actually give I guess praise and worship to other deities. That's where they originate when you look into them. Doing none at all through selfishness or self-conceit, but in humility, consider others better than yourselves. A lot of us say, well, I'm doing it for my family. I'm doing it for the... That's not what this is saying. You don't join your members to wickedness. Join yourself to righteousness. Humility comes in doing such, because you're actually considering others when if you give them forth the example that it's okay to do these things that you know are against Yah, they won't feel conviction. No, you don't have to judge them. You don't have to beat them up. But they in themselves must come to the conclusion that what they're doing is error. But if you don't show them, give them an example, and set yourself apart, why would they desire to be set apart? If they can go along to get along as you are going along to get along, why not why would they not continue in that? No, we are not the standard, but we are standard bearers. So that means we should be walking forth in a standard. I love my mom, but she sent me a Thanksgiving greeting and I just didn't respond. That don't mean I don't I don't love my mom, but I don't participate in that. So there was no need to respond to it, because I've shared that before, and I don't need to, keep, I guess, beating up my own mom. I'm not going to do that. So, I had to just stay humble and just shut up and not respond to it. But I'm holding forth a standard. And when it come around to the feast times again, I'm going to keep inviting her over until, hopefully a seed is sown and maybe she can come up out of those things. But of course, this has been a tradition of men. These holidays have been something that's been inbred into us to do over and over and over from generation to generation. We don't see that that's an act of paganism, acts of a heathen, because they have been made to be Christianized, which most of our families claim to be. But we're no longer Christians because we never were supposed to be Christian. When you acknowledge that Christian in itself is paganism, but, of course, saying that offends folks because, again, they have so much a great tie and connection to that and not to Yah. Each one should look not only for his own interests, but also for the interests of others. For let this mind be in you, which was also in Messiah Yahusha. Yahusha was not trying to participate in the things of the world like that. He was dividing, pulling people up out of that mess, as we should as well. Right now, I'm speaking about one voice. A lot of y'all put y'all voice towards these holidays, but the one voice should be in connection in agreement with the kingdom of Yah. And that means nothing that glorifies another deity. Cast those things down. If you want to have a celebration, be about his feasts and festivals. There's a lot to celebrate in that. You don't have to do these holidays to have celebrations. For let this mind be in you, which was also in Messiah Yahusha, who being in the form of Elohim did not regard equality with Elohim a matter to be grasped. And see, some people think, oh, that means they're the same. No, he had a like mind. That's what the equality is speaking of. Because again, he was a servant. That's why he had to empty himself, taking the form of a servant, and came to be the likeness of men. Because he was subject to Yahuwah. It wasn't Yahuwah that did this. This is Yahusha that did this, a son being obedient to his father. And having been found in the fashion of man, he humbled himself and became obedient unto death, death even of a state. If he's in control, if all power is in his hand, who is he obedient to? There's someone that he's being obedient to. Some people don't get. If I tell my son to do my will, all of my power and authority is in his hand at that time to do my will, not to do his own will. So yeah, he has all my power and authority to do my will, not to change it, not to go against what I say. It does not put him above me. He's still doing it in obedience to me. So Yahusha, though many want to acknowledge, oh, he has all power. He has all power to do what his father told him to do, to finish his assignment, to be about the will of the Father, just like his model prayer. Thy will be done on earth as it is in the Shamayim. Yahusha has always been obedient, under authority. I get it. People want to make him to be the absolute authority, but he is the absolute authority of man because he's been given dominion, just like Adam was. Adam was given dominion over the earth. That was supposed to be what was going on, but he failed. But Yah's word never comes back void. So that means he had to complete the task that he set forth. No, I ain't gonna say he had to. He was going to complete the task that he set forth. And he did so with an obedient son, Yahusha. Yahusha meaning Yahuwah is salvation. Again, giving all honor, all glory to Yahuwah, not Yahusha, Yahuwah. His name alone reflects back the glory of Yahuwah. People want to say that I don't acknowledge Yahusha. You're in error. You're not telling the truth. I just acknowledge him as high priest and as the second Adam. I give him reverence, but I know it all reflects back to the Father. He is basically direction, but Yahuwah is the destination. You never magnify the directions over the destination. If I'm going up to the spigot upstairs and trying to get me some water, man, that pipe was the bomb. Oh man, I really needed that pipe. I did need that pipe, but it was for the water. The water was the focal point. My thirst, the pipe is not what quenched my thirst. It was the water. So the Father was bringing forth the salvation, quenching our thirst. We need to be on one voice with that. You know, many have pushed forth division that Yahusha never pushed. because again, in his model prayer, he focused on the will of the Father. He said, Our Father. He acknowledged our Father. So he set himself in the place of a son as well. Just like Exodus 4:22 says, Israel's son, Yahusha placed himself in the place of a son and said, Our Father, which art in heaven, thy will be done, thy kingdom come. It's still the Father's kingdom. They said, well, Yahusha's on the throne. Did you realize that there are even elders on thrones in the Shamayim? Did you not read that? The 24 elders on thrones? Didn't it say Yahusha's on the right? So that means a throne next to the biggest throne. He's not sitting on the throne of thrones. He's on the right hand, the right of the Father. Again, it always comes back to that name that's right behind my head, Yahuwah, Master of Hosts. Can't get people to get it. Not my place, I guess. The seed is sown. The will of the Father. Let's have one voice. Let's be in accord. Let's acknowledge Yahuwah. I am not saying don't reverence and don't acknowledge Yahusha at all, but the direction is not greater than the destination. Abba Yah, I thank you for today. I thank you that more people will get in accord to your will and see what Yahusha was putting forth. He said to the woman at the well, the day is coming that you don't worship on this mountain, but you worship in spirit and truth the Father. He didn't put the glory towards himself, but yes, he was a messenger. He was the messenger to that woman and to her family, but he still pointed everything to the Father. In his motto prayer over and over, to the Father, to the Father. The conduit or the vessel, the container. This body is a container, but the most important part is what's inside the container, the value, the ruach. I have a ruach. You have a ruach. But when we are in accord, we are connected to the Ruach HaKadosh. The Father is the holiest of all holy. He is the most Kadesh of them all. Let's be on accord. Let's be one with him. Hallelujah. Shabbat shalom. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.